The scene opened with tension thick enough to cut with a knife. Fans of reality TV everywhere were left reeling as whispers turned into shocking revelations. Mona Scott, the powerhouse behind some of VH1's biggest shows, found herself caught in a scandal that no one saw coming. Rumors had been swirling for weeks. Kirk, one of the franchise's most polarizing stars, was allegedly involved in an affair that threatened to rip the carefully constructed world of reality television apart. But what no one anticipated was the twist that would leave everyone gasping. A VH1 producer, someone trusted to keep the drama on screen and behind the cameras, was allegedly covering it up. Yes, the very person responsible for shaping what fans see was now accused of hiding the truth. The story started quietly, as most explosive revelations do. A series of cryptic posts on social media hinted at secret meetings, hushed phone calls, and texts that fans would soon screenshot and circulate relentlessly. "I can't believe they would do this," one insider allegedly messaged a friend, according to sources who asked to remain anonymous. The tension escalated when an anonymous tipster reached out to a popular entertainment blog, claiming they had proof of Kirk's alleged infidelity and that the producer had intentionally kept it under wraps to protect the show's image. As the whispers spread, social media erupted. Fans flooded threads with speculation, dividing themselves into camps, some defending Kirk, insisting he was being framed, others demanding accountability from the producer and Mona herself. The emotional stakes skyrocketed when leaked messages surfaced, showing Kirk desperately trying to explain himself while the producer reassured him that nothing would reach the public eye. "Just trust me, this stays behind closed doors," one message reportedly read. The revelation sent shockwaves through the community, and viewers began questioning the integrity of the shows they had followed religiously for years. Mona Scott, known for her strategic mind and calculated control over her projects, was suddenly in a position she never wanted, defending herself amid a scandal she might not have directly caused. Could she have known what was happening behind the scenes? Or was she truly blindsided, struggling to maintain authority in a world where secrets and betrayals were part of the game? Emotions ran high as insiders claimed that arguments erupted on set, with production meetings devolving into heated confrontations. The family, friends, and co-stars were reportedly left divided, unsure of who to believe. And the tension only mounted as clips, allegedly showing confrontations and secret conversations, began circulating online. Fans were left with a burning question: how deep did this go? The alleged cover-up wasn't just about protecting a show, it was about loyalty, trust, and the messy, hidden side of fame. And with every leaked screenshot, every whispered conversation, and every social media post, the stakes seemed to climb higher, threatening to engulf not just Kirk and the producer, but Mona herself. By the end of that fateful week, the entertainment world was holding its breath, waiting to see how this tangled web of secrets, lies, and raw emotion would finally unravel. The stage was set, the drama was real, or at least as real as reality TV could be, and no one could look away. The tension backstage was palpable. Cameras clicked incessantly, lights flashed, but the real drama was unfolding far from the lenses. Kirk paced the room, phone pressed to his ear, voice low but trembling. "I don't care what you do, just don't let this get out," he muttered, glancing at the door as if expecting the walls themselves to report back to the world. The producer, the one who had orchestrated countless storylines, leaned against the wall, arms crossed, eyes scanning Kirk with a mixture of irritation and calculation. "I said it stays quiet," the producer replied, voice sharp yet controlled. "You signed the contracts, you know the rules. You want this public. Fine, but it won't help anyone, least of all you." Kirk exhaled sharply, rubbing his temples. The room felt suffocating, the air thick with secrets that could explode at any moment. Outside, fans were already sensing that something was amiss. Social media accounts dedicated to reality TV gossip began buzzing, their notifications overflowing as rumors swirled about hidden affairs, clandestine meetings, and mysterious text messages. One particularly viral post read, "VH1 hiding Kirk's scandal. How deep does this go?" Comments poured in, with supporters defending him fiercely while skeptics demanded accountability. The intensity of the online chatter mirrored the tension in the production office, a digital echo of a drama that was rapidly escalating beyond anyone's control. Insiders whispered about secret recordings, screenshots of private conversations, and even alleged video clips that might soon surface. The stakes had never been higher, and no one, it seemed, could predict who would crack first. Inside the studio, arguments erupted in hushed but heated tones. Co-stars, caught in the middle, exchanged nervous glances, unsure whether to take sides or remain silent. One cast member reportedly muttered under their breath, "This isn't just about Kirk. It's about everyone who trusts this producer." Another chimed in, voice low but sharp, "We've all been played, and it's about to blow." The atmosphere was a powder keg, and every movement, every glance, every whispered word seemed capable of igniting an emotional inferno. Even the crew, usually trained to observe without interfering, found themselves caught up in the tension, some discreetly checking their phones for the latest leaks, others sharing rumors quietly in corners of the studio where cameras couldn't reach. The producer's role in this was complicated. Publicly, they had been a stabilizing force, ensuring that storylines ran smoothly and that viewers remained engaged. Privately, however, the stakes were personal. Every hidden message, every concealed affair, was a risk to their career. A potential scandal that could dismantle years of credibility. Yet the calculations weren't purely selfish, they were strategic. Aimed at protecting the show's image, the brand that they and Mona had painstakingly built. Behind closed doors, the producer reminded Kirk, "We're in this together. The show survives only if this doesn't leak." "Your personal life?" "Secondary." Kirk's eyes darkened, a mixture of frustration and fear evident. He had never imagined being trapped like this, caught between his own mistakes and the machinations of someone who knew how to manipulate truth for maximum effect. Meanwhile, Mona Scott, usually the unshakable force behind the camera, faced her own battle. Reports claimed that she had discovered hints of the affair days earlier, only to be met with explanations that seemed plausible enough to placate her initial suspicions. Yet the mounting evidence, combined with increasingly anxious messages from the production team, made her uneasy. "I can't have this tearing everything apart," she reportedly told an assistant, voice tight with stress. "The show is my responsibility. If Kirk's personal life gets in the headlines because of us, it's on me." Her presence loomed over the set like a silent warning. Every action, every misstep, could have repercussions that extended far beyond the studio walls. Fans' reactions were relentless. Threads on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook overflowed with theories, leaked screenshots, and heated debates. Some called for Kirk to be held accountable, accusing him of betraying not only his co-stars but also the viewers who had invested emotionally in his story. Others turned their ire toward the producer, claiming complicity and deceit, insisting that such manipulation undermined the authenticity of the entire franchise. The flood of opinions grew daily, each post ratcheting up pressure on the individuals at the center of the storm. Memes circulated, combining humor with accusation, and viral clips of prior episodes were dissected frame by frame, with fans looking for subtle clues of a hidden narrative that might have been overlooked. Inside the production office, tensions reached a boiling point. Kirk's phone buzzed again, this time with a message that set his heart racing. "They're talking. The leaks are starting. Be ready." The producer glanced at him, expression unreadable, then nodded slightly. "This is why I warned you. Control what you can, and pray the rest stays buried." Kirk swallowed hard, aware that control was slipping through his fingers. The idea that the world might soon know about his affair, compounded by the alleged cover-up orchestrated by someone who was supposed to be trustworthy, created a gnawing anxiety that no amount of reassurance could erase. Every minute that passed seemed to magnify the inevitability of exposure, and with it, the collapse of carefully managed images and reputations. As the day wore on, more alleged leaks appeared online. Screenshots of private conversations circulated, purporting to show Kirk expressing regret, frustration, and even anger at being caught in a scenario he had never anticipated. The producer, meanwhile, remained a figure of both admiration and suspicion. Admiration for their ability to manage the chaos, suspicion for the moral compromise required to shield Kirk from the fallout. Mona, observing the unfolding events from a distance, reportedly convened an emergency meeting with her closest advisors, trying to strategize how to contain the situation while maintaining her credibility. The weight of responsibility pressed heavily on her shoulders. Every decision carried ramifications for the show, the network, and the personal lives entwined with the scandal. Rumors intensified when an anonymous source claimed that a confrontation between Kirk and the producer had turned physical during a late-night recording session. According to insiders, voices were raised, furniture was knocked over, and threats were exchanged. Though no one could confirm the specifics, the allegation added a dangerous layer to the drama, suggesting that the stakes had shifted from mere career consequences to personal safety. Fans seized on the story, speculating wildly and sharing embellished versions that quickly spread across the internet. The tension became almost unbearable, a combination of fear, fascination, and the voyeuristic thrill of watching a private world unravel in public. Yet amidst all the chaos, small alliances formed. Co-stars whispered strategies to each other, some offering sympathy to Kirk, others directing subtle pressure toward the producer. Staff members, caught between loyalty and self-preservation, weighed every action with the knowledge that even minor missteps could be amplified by the ever-watchful eyes of fans and social media commentators. The lines between reality and performance blurred, leaving everyone wondering who was genuine, who was performing, and who was silently manipulating events from the shadows. As night fell, the studio emptied, but the tension lingered. Kirk sat alone, phone in hand, messages blinking on the screen like ticking time bombs. The producer left shortly after, expression unreadable, leaving behind only the echo of a warning that hung in the air. Be ready. This isn't over. Mona retreated to her office, reviewing reports, emails, and screenshots, each new piece of information further complicating an already impossible situation. The family, the fans, and the co-stars remained caught in a whirlwind of speculation, unsure which fragments of truth they could trust. The drama was far from over. In fact, it was only beginning to spiral into a frenzy that promised to challenge loyalties, expose secrets, and redefine the boundaries of trust and betrayal within the reality TV universe. The morning after the tension-filled night arrived, but the storm showed no signs of letting up. Whispers had already traveled faster than the speed of sound, reaching fans, media outlets, and even rival shows hungry for any scrap of scandal. Kirk entered the studio, visibly tense, his expression a mixture of exhaustion and unease. The producer met him at the door, an unreadable mask hiding whatever emotions lurked beneath. "We need to talk," Kirk said, voice strained. The producer nodded, motioning him into a side room where the cameras didn't reach. The conversation that followed, according to insiders, was heated, full of accusations, apologies, and veiled threats. "You think this is easy for me?" Kirk demanded. "I'm the one being dragged through the mud while you pull the strings." The producer's response was cold, calculated. "I protect the show. You survive if the show survives. Personal feelings don't matter here." Kirk's jaw tightened, the weight of realization pressing down. He understood, perhaps too late, that the world he had navigated so confidently could crumble in a single misstep, and that the producer's loyalty to the network far outweighed any personal alliance. Outside, fans were already dissecting every interaction, every glance, every past episode, hunting for clues that might reveal the hidden narrative. Hashtags began trending, blending outrage with speculation. Hashtag Kirk scandal, hashtag VH1 cover-up, hashtag Mona caught in the middle. The frenzy was relentless. Insiders claimed that screenshots of text messages between Kirk and the producer had leaked, showing the lengths to which the producer went to keep the affair hidden. "You owe me silence," one message allegedly read, "or everything collapses." The revelation sent shockwaves through fan communities, with arguments erupting in comment sections. Some viewers expressed sympathy for Kirk, calling the producer manipulative, while others demanded accountability from the network and Mona herself. Within the studio, tensions spilled over into day-to-day operations. Production meetings, once routine, became battlegrounds. Crew members whispered anxiously, co-stars exchanged wary glances, and even Mona, known for her composure, appeared distracted. The sense of an invisible threat loomed over everyone, as if the walls themselves carried the echoes of secrets that could destroy careers. One insider recounted a scene where Kirk stormed out of a meeting, shouting, "I'm done," pretending everything's fine. "If this gets out, it's on you too." The producer followed, calm yet unyielding, replying, "You agreed to the rules. Control what you can, and hope for the best." The confrontation left an impression that lingered far beyond the office. A quiet warning that even those with authority could be ensnared by the consequences of hidden truths. As the hours passed, more leaks surfaced online. Fans circulated supposed screenshots showing Kirk confessing regrets, expressing frustration at being trapped in a situation spiraling out of control. Some posts claimed to reveal the producer's private messages, suggesting a level of orchestration that went beyond mere damage control, implying active manipulation of events to protect not just Kirk, but the show's image. The speculation was relentless, and every new post intensified the scrutiny. The producer's carefully maintained image as a stabilizing force now became a source of controversy. And Mona, caught between loyalty, reputation, and the unfolding chaos, faced unprecedented pressure. Amid the frenzy, personal relationships strained under the weight of the scandal. Co-stars, previously united on set, began choosing sides. Some sought to distance themselves, wary of being implicated or targeted by fan backlash. Others offered tentative support to Kirk, citing friendship, history, or shared experiences. Even the production crew felt the tension, navigating the delicate balance between professionalism and the moral discomfort of being complicit in covering up a major controversy. The atmosphere became thick with suspicion, each glance or casual remark potentially signaling allegiance, betrayal, or hidden knowledge. The intensity escalated further when an anonymous video clip surfaced online. Allegedly, it showed Kirk and the producer in a heated argument backstage, voices raised, gestures sharp, emotions raw. The clip quickly went viral, sparking debates about its authenticity, with some fans insisting it confirmed the scandal, while others argued it was staged or selectively edited. Regardless of the truth, the clip fueled the fire, reinforcing the perception that a major cover-up was underway. The tension extended beyond the studio walls, affecting fans, media outlets, and even rival productions, all eager to leverage the controversy for views, clicks, and engagement. In the midst of the chaos, Mona attempted to regain control. She called emergency meetings with key advisors, scrutinized every piece of leaked information, and weighed potential responses. Insiders reported that she was torn between protecting her team, maintaining her own credibility, and preventing the show from unraveling entirely. "This is bigger than anything I've managed before," she reportedly confessed to a trusted associate. "If the wrong detail gets out, it won't just be Kirk or the producer, it will be me, the network, everyone." Her strategic mind worked tirelessly, attempting to anticipate the next move, predict public reaction, and mitigate potential fallout. The pressure was relentless, and the emotional toll visible, even through carefully managed public appearances. While the adults navigated crisis management, fans remained engrossed, dissecting every nuance of behavior, every cryptic post, and every alleged leak. Discussions grew increasingly elaborate, with theories ranging from complete fabrication to deep conspiracies involving multiple network executives. Memes, reaction videos, and fan commentaries exploded across social media, keeping the scandal at the forefront of pop culture conversation. The frenzy created a feedback loop, where leaks fueled speculation, speculation fueled tension, and tension fueled further leaks. The real and perceived drama became inseparable, leaving all involved in a precarious balance between personal consequence and public spectacle. Backstage, Kirk's frustration intensified. The pressure of maintaining secrecy, managing personal relationships, and navigating fan outrage became almost unbearable. Reportedly, he confronted the producer once more, emotions spilling over. "You said this would stay quiet. Now everyone thinks I'm a liar, a cheat." The producer's reply was measured, almost clinical. "You knew the risks. I'm preserving the show. Your personal turmoil is collateral. Accept it or face exposure." The bluntness left Kirk shaken, the reality of being manipulated and controlled by someone he trusted sinking in. The confrontation revealed not only the interpersonal tension but also the structural power dynamics at play, how loyalty, image, and career survival intertwined in a complex, high-stakes dance behind the camera. By late afternoon, reports indicated that additional screenshots had been circulated, showing not just the alleged affair, but also internal discussions among the crew about how to frame narratives for public consumption. The implications were staggering. If true, the producer's influence extended beyond mere cover-up into active shaping of the story to protect specific individuals. The revelation sparked intense debate among fans and media critics alike, questioning the ethics of reality television production, the authenticity of televised narratives, and the moral responsibilities of those behind the scenes. The scandal, initially centered on Kirk, now implicated a network of complicity and strategic concealment. As the day drew to a close, Mona was seen entering her office with a determined yet weary expression. She reviewed reports, messages, and social media trends, aware that each decision she made could either calm the storm or fan its flames. Insiders claimed that she considered multiple strategies, issuing a public statement, confronting the producer directly, or orchestrating a controlled revelation to regain narrative control. The weight of responsibility pressed heavily, not only for the show's success but also for the reputations of all involved. The uncertainty of how the scandal would unfold created a pervasive anxiety, with every participant acutely aware that any misstep could have irreversible consequences. Fans, meanwhile, remained glued to their screens, dissecting every interaction, reading every leaked message, and constructing elaborate narratives to explain the unfolding chaos. Social media became both courtroom and stage, judging characters, speculating on motives, and predicting the next twist in a drama that had escalated far beyond what anyone anticipated. The tension between reality and perception, between private actions and public interpretation, became a central theme, leaving viewers enthralled, outraged, and eager for the next revelation. The night ended with uncertainty hanging over the studio like a dense fog. Kirk retreated to a private space, still grappling with the implications of exposure and betrayal. The producer exited with the quiet confidence of someone who understood the stakes and their power. Mona, vigilant and strategic, remained the unseen force attempting to navigate a labyrinth of secrets, alliances, and public scrutiny. The drama was far from resolved. In fact, it seemed to intensify with every passing hour, leaving everyone involved, cast, crew, and fans alike on the edge of anticipation, waiting for the next inevitable unraveling. The following morning brought no relief. Whispers of the scandal had transformed into full-blown speculation across every corner of social media, and the studio's walls seemed to vibrate with the tension of unspoken accusations. Kirk arrived early, eyes shadowed with fatigue, his posture stiff and defensive. The producer met him in the parking lot, voice low, yet carrying the weight of authority. "We need to control the narrative now. This isn't about you anymore, it's about perception." Kirk's frustration bubbled over. Perception. People are going to think I've been lying this whole time. The truth doesn't matter when everyone assumes the worst. The producer's reply was deliberate, measured. Truth is irrelevant to the story they're consuming. We shape it, or we get consumed by it. The reality of the producer's influence settled over Kirk like a heavy foggy, realized that behind the glamour and chaos of reality TV lay a network of carefully orchestrated maneuvers that could protect or destroy with equal ease. Inside the studio, Mona Scott convened a private strategy session with senior advisors. Her normally composed demeanor was tinged with tension as she reviewed the growing number of leaks and the escalating fan reactions. "If this spirals any further, it could jeopardize everything," she stated, voice firm but weary. Advisors suggested various approaches: a controlled revelation, preemptive interviews, or even public statements that redirected attention to others. Mona listened intently, weighing the risk of each option, aware that any misstep could inflame the situation beyond control. The pressure was enormous, not just for the show's image, but for the personal and professional reputations entangled in the controversy. Meanwhile, fans and media outlets amplified every nuance of the scandal. Hashtags proliferated, trending topics dominated conversations, and speculation about the producer's role intensified. Screenshots of private messages, alleged video clips, and insider commentary circulated wildly. Some fans expressed outrage at Kirk, condemning him for betrayal, while others targeted the producer, accusing them of moral compromise and manipulation. The feedback loop of rumor and reaction created a digital pressure cooker, a constant reminder to those involved that every action or inaction was being scrutinized, dissected, and debated. The tension on set manifested in visible ways. Co-stars exchanged subtle glances, some distancing themselves from the controversy, others quietly aligning with Kirk. Crew members navigated a complex web of loyalty and self-preservation, aware that being perceived as complicit or, conversely, as a whistleblower could have serious consequences. Every conversation, every glance, seemed loaded with implication. Insiders reported that arguments flared more frequently, often erupting in private areas where cameras could not capture the intensity of emotions. One assistant recounted a heated exchange between Kirk and the producer, during which Kirk's voice cracked with frustration. "You think I can just sit here and pretend this isn't happening? People are talking, and they're going to destroy everything." The producer's calm, almost clinical response: "We control what they see." Nothing else left Kirk feeling trapped, manipulated, and increasingly desperate. Social media remained an unrelenting storm. Fans combed through old episodes, searching for subtle hints or inconsistencies, turning mundane moments into supposed proof of conspiracy. Some commenters speculated that Mona herself must have known, pointing to carefully edited sequences and strategic camera angles. Others insisted the producer had acted alone, skillfully masking Kirk's behavior while preserving the illusion of authenticity. The digital echo chamber amplified every rumor, making it impossible for anyone involved to discern truth from perception. The pressure mounted, reaching a point where even minor missteps or unguarded comments could ignite new waves of speculation. Rumors of confrontations extended beyond publicized arguments. Sources alleged that the producer had pulled Kirk aside during a recording, insisting that he maintain composure despite mounting evidence of leaks. "If this blows up, it's your career, not mine," one insider claimed was said. The dynamic highlighted a tension central to the unfolding drama, the delicate balance between control and chaos, loyalty and self-interest, personal consequence, and professional survival. Kirk's frustration deepened as he navigated this landscape, aware that every gesture and word could be interpreted, exaggerated, or weaponized against him. Mona, ever the strategist, attempted to anticipate the next wave. Reports suggested she spent hours reviewing digital chatter, messaging key advisors, and mapping potential scenarios. The goal was to contain the narrative, minimize reputational damage, and manage the fallout before it spiraled into uncontrollable territory. Her decisions were made with precision, yet the weight of responsibility pressed heavily. Miscalculations could unravel the very structure she had built, and the cost would extend beyond ratings into trust, loyalty, and credibility. Inside the production office, tensions between Kirk and the producer reached another peak. Voices purportedly raised, gestures became sharp, and the emotional intensity escalated. The argument, according to insiders, revolved around trust, responsibility, and perceived betrayal. Kirk accused the producer of manipulating events for their own gain, while the producer emphasized the necessity of secrecy and the primacy of the show's survival. The confrontation, though private, was felt across the set, creating an undercurrent of anxiety that influenced everyone from cast to crew. As the day progressed, new alleged leaks appeared online. Fans dissected every message, every clip, and every hint of tension, speculating about the true extent of the affair and the cover-up. The viral nature of these posts meant that perception often overshadowed fact, and the lines between reality and performance blurred. Insiders reported that co-stars were increasingly concerned about public perception, worried that their own reputations could be implicated simply by association. Crew members struggled to maintain professionalism while witnessing the emotional toll on Kirk, Mona, and the producer. By evening, the situation escalated further when an anonymous video emerged, allegedly, showing Kirk confronting the producer with raw emotion, voice shaking, eyes intense. The producer.com and unwavering appeared to maintain control of the interaction, reinforcing the perception of manipulation and strategic power. Fans dissected the clip frame by frame, debating authenticity, motives, and potential repercussions. The drama had become both public spectacle and moral quandary, leaving everyone involved caught between personal vulnerability and the demands of a manufactured narrative. Meanwhile, Mona worked tirelessly behind the scenes, analyzing trends, consulting advisors, and attempting to predict the next development. Her focus was unwavering, but the stress was evident. She understood that the unfolding events had the potential to reshape not only Kirk's reputation but also the perception of the show, the network, and the production team. Every decision she made carried weight, and the room for error was vanishingly small. The balance between controlling the narrative and navigating human emotion became increasingly precarious, highlighting the complexities inherent in the world of reality television. As night descended, Kirk remained unsettled, aware that the leaks, the rumors, and the social media frenzy were far from over. The producer, maintaining composure, left the studio quietly, leaving behind a palpable sense of authority and control. Mona, ever vigilant, continued her analysis, preparing for the next move in a drama that showed no signs of resolution. The stakes had escalated from personal betrayal to a multi-layered spectacle involving career, reputation, and the public's unrelenting gaze. For everyone involved, the unfolding story promised that no one would emerge unchanged, and that the boundaries between reality and performance were increasingly indistinguishable. The following day arrived with a tense calm that masked the storm beneath the surface. Kirk entered the studio early, eyes bloodshot, movements stiff, his mind replaying the confrontations from the previous days. The producer was already there, leaning against the wall, arms crossed, eyes sharp, studying him like a general assessing a soldier. "We have to act," the producer said quietly, voice steady but carrying an unmistakable weight. "Every leak, every rumor, it's building. If we don't control it now, the narrative controls you." Kirk swallowed hard, tension visible in the clench of his jaw. "I'm trying," he muttered, voice low, "but it's like everyone's against me. Fans, media, even some of the cast. How do I survive this?" The producer's gaze didn't waver. "You survive by doing what you're told, keeping composure, and trusting me to handle what you cannot." Kirk nodded reluctantly, the uneasy alliance between them more necessary than comfortable. Backstage, Mona Scott convened another emergency session with her inner circle. Advisors and senior producers crowded into the conference room. Laptops open, social media dashboards projected across screens. "This is escalating faster than any scenario we've prepared for," Mona said, her tone measured but tense. "Every day, new leaks, new rumors, new fan theories. We have to anticipate every possibility." Suggestions were volleyed rapidly. Preemptive public statements, strategic interviews, controlled accidental leaks to redirect attention, and damage-limiting edits to upcoming episodes. Mona listened, nodding slowly, weighing the pros and cons of each. Fully aware that missteps could amplify the scandal beyond repair, her voice, firm but weary, reminded everyone, "This isn't just Kirk's crisis. It's ours. Collectively, our careers, the network, the show's future. It all hinges on how we respond in the next 24 hours. Meanwhile, the online frenzy showed no signs of slowing. Fans, armed with screenshots, leaked messages, and alleged insider accounts, debated endlessly. Some demanded accountability from Kirk, accusing him of deception and betrayal. Others turned their anger toward the producer, accusing them of moral compromise and manipulation. Speculations spread like wildfire, and each new post sparked another wave of commentary, theory crafting, and heated discussion. Fan communities became courts of public opinion, judging motives, assessing guilt, and predicting the next twists in what was rapidly becoming a narrative larger than the individuals involved. On set, tension was almost tangible. Co-stars navigated the delicate social landscape, some subtly aligning with Kirk, others distancing themselves. Crew members felt the emotional weight of the scandal, aware that their actions or perceived loyalties could affect their careers. Private conversations became strategic maneuvers, and even routine tasks were loaded with unspoken implications. Insiders reported an incident during a late-morning rehearsal when Kirk's frustration erupted, voice rising sharply. "Do you think this is easy for me? Everyone's watching, judging, and I can't control a thing." The producer remained calm, voice measured. "Control what you can, manage your emotions, and trust the process. The rest is not yours to worry about." The stark contrast between Kirk's emotional turmoil and the producer's calculated composure underscored the power dynamic at play. Social media intensified the pressure. Hashtags like #KirkDrama, #VH1 cover-up, #Mona in the middle surged, trending across platforms. Fans combed through every episode, dissecting subtle interactions, scrutinizing camera angles, and interpreting gestures as evidence of hidden agendas. Memes, fan videos, and live commentary exploded online, transforming the scandal into both entertainment and moral debate. Each new rumor amplified tension within the studio, feeding the cycle of anxiety and speculation. Rumors of confrontations and secret negotiations added another layer of intrigue. Insiders claimed that the producer had met privately with Kirk multiple times, guiding his behavior, managing his public appearances, and ensuring that key information remained hidden from the press. One alleged message read, "Trust me, the public doesn't need to know everything. Your image survives if we manage it carefully." The revelation sparked outrage among some fans, who accused the producer of complicity, while others viewed the actions as necessary damage control. The ethical implications, however, were undeniable, raising questions about responsibility, manipulation, and the blurred lines between personal and professional stakes in reality television. Mona, aware of the public's scrutiny, took steps to regain control. She reviewed every message, every leak, every fan comment, planning strategically for the next wave. Insiders reported that she considered issuing a carefully worded statement, coordinating controlled interviews, or even facilitating selective disclosures to redirect attention. Her focus was relentless, knowing that every action could shape the narrative, influence perception, and determine outcomes for all parties involved. The stress was visible, yet her determination to navigate the unfolding crisis remained unwavering. The intensity of the scandal reached a new height when another alleged video emerged online. Reportedly, it showed Kirk confronting the producer with raw emotion, voice cracking, hands gesturing in frustration. The producer remained composed, calm, and authoritative, reinforcing the perception of strategic control. Fans dissected the clip frame by frame, speculating about motives, alliances, and consequences. The scene became a symbol of the escalating drama, highlighting the complexity of interpersonal dynamics, the power of manipulation, and the relentless scrutiny of public perception. As night fell, Kirk retreated to a private area, the weight of exposure pressing heavily. The producer left quietly, confident in their strategy yet aware of the fragility of the situation. Mona, reviewing trends and preparing for contingencies, remained vigilant, fully aware that the scandal was far from over. The stakes were higher than ever, encompassing career trajectories, personal reputations, and the very future of the show. Every participant, from cast to crew to fans, became entangled in a web of speculation, intrigue, and emotion that promised to shape the unfolding narrative in unexpected ways. The day ended with uncertainty lingering in the air. Kirk, exhausted and anxious, understood the precariousness of his position. The producer, maintaining an aura of calm authority, had orchestrated a containment strategy, yet the effectiveness remained untested against the relentless scrutiny of fans and social media. Mona, navigating the complex interplay of loyalty, responsibility, and strategy, prepared for the next round of challenges, aware that the storm was only intensifying. The drama, layered and intricate, promised that no one involved would emerge untouched, and that the delicate balance between reality, perception, and manipulation would continue to unravel in unpredictable ways. The following morning, tension once again gripped the studio, thicker and more suffocating than the day before. Kirk arrived, eyes shadowed and movements stiff, the weight of scrutiny pressing down with relentless force. The producer met him near the entrance, their expression unreadable but unmistakably commanding. "We have to act fast," the producer said, voice low but precise, cutting through the quiet hum of the studio. "Every rumor, every leak it's gaining momentum. If we don't steer this narrative, it steers you." Kirk ran a hand through his hair, frustration evident in the set of his jaw. "I'm drowning here," he admitted, voice barely above a whisper. "Fans, co-stars, social media, they're all turning against me. How do I survive this?" The producer's eyes were cold, analytical. "By doing exactly what you're told, keeping composure, and letting me manage what you cannot." Kirk nodded, uneasily acknowledging the truth in those words, aware that his control over the unfolding events was slipping. Backstage, Mona Scott summoned her core team for another strategy session, laptops open, social media feeds projected across screens. The room buzzed with urgency. "The situation has escalated beyond anything we've faced before," Mona stated, voice tight but authoritative. "New leaks, new fan theories, trending hashtags, they're all converging. We need to anticipate the next 24 hours. Suggestions flew rapidly, controlled public statements, strategically leaked information, interviews that redirected attention, and editing upcoming episodes to subtly influence perception. Mona absorbed each recommendation, weighing consequences with the precision of a chess master, fully aware that any misstep could inflame the scandal beyond repair. "This isn't just Kirk's crisis, it's ours collectively," she reminded the team. "One wrong move, and the network, the show, and all of us will face the fallout." On social media, the frenzy showed no sign of slowing. Fans dissected every interaction, every episode, and every rumored message. Hashtags like #KirkScandal, #VH1 cover-up, #Mona in the middle dominated feeds. Some condemned Kirk for deception and betrayal, while others directed their outrage at the producer, accusing them of manipulation and moral compromise. Online forums became courts of public opinion, debating motives, authenticity, and the unfolding chain of events. The digital storm amplified tension within the studio, feeding a feedback loop where leaks sparked speculation, and speculation, in turn, fueled further leaks. The pressure on set intensified. Co-stars maneuvered carefully, some aligning with Kirk, others maintaining distance, wary of being caught in the crossfire. Crew members faced their own dilemmas, balancing professionalism with ethical unease. Aware that loyalty could be interpreted as complicity, arguments flared in private corners. Whispered conversations carried the weight of strategic calculations, and even minor interactions were scrutinized for hidden meaning. One assistant recounted a moment during rehearsal when Kirk's frustration erupted into a heated outburst. "This isn't just a rumor anymore. People are watching, judging, and I can't control any of it." The producer, ever composed, responded with icy precision, "Control what you can. Your behavior, your composure. The rest is not yours to manage." The contrast between Kirk's raw emotion and the producer's calculated detachment underscored the intensity of the stakes. Rumors of clandestine negotiations and secret meetings intensified. Insiders claimed that the producer had privately coached Kirk on public appearances, guiding his words, gestures, and facial expressions to maintain the illusion of control. One alleged text read, "Trust me, the world doesn't need to know everything. "Your image survives if we manage perception." Outrage among fans was immediate and fierce, accusing the producer of complicity, while others praised the strategic maneuvering, arguing it was necessary to contain the fallout. The ethical implications, however, were undeniable, highlighting the murky intersection of personal accountability and professional strategy in the world of reality television. Mona, ever vigilant, sought to regain control. She reviewed leaked messages, social media trends, and potential narratives, preparing for multiple contingencies. Insiders reported that she considered issuing a carefully crafted statement, coordinating interviews with select cast members, or facilitating controlled disclosures to redirect public attention. The focus was unrelenting, the pressure immense. Mona knew that every decision could influence public perception, protect careers, and shape the outcome of the unfolding scandal. Her strategic precision was tested as never before, the weight of responsibility evident in every measured action. The drama escalated when another alleged video surfaced online. Purportedly, it captured Kirk confronting the producer with raw emotion, voice strained, hands gesturing in frustration. The producer remained calm, measured, and authoritative, reinforcing perceptions of manipulation and control. Fans scrutinized the footage, dissecting motives, alliances, and implications. The scene became emblematic of the crisis, illustrating the interplay of emotional vulnerability, calculated strategy, and public scrutiny. As evening approached, Kirk retreated to a private space, weighed down by anxiety and exhaustion. The producer left quietly, maintaining authority yet aware of the volatility of the situation. Mona continued her monitoring, preparing for the next phase. Understanding that the scandal's trajectory was far from predictable, the stakes now encompassed career, reputation, and the fragile balance between reality and perception. Every participant, from cast to crew to fans, was entwined in a web of speculation and emotion that promised further revelations, confrontations, and unexpected twists. The night closed with uncertainty, lingering like a dense fog. Kirk remained tense, acutely aware that the scrutiny would continue unabated. The producer, confident yet vigilant, had orchestrated containment strategies, while Mona, navigating loyalty, strategy, and responsibility, prepared for the next developments. The drama, layered and intricate, promised no resolution in sight, and the delicate interplay between truth, perception, and manipulation continued to intensify, leaving all involved teetering on the edge of revelation, exposure, and emotional unraveling. The next morning broke with a strange, uneasy quiet that belied the turmoil brewing beneath the surface. Kirk arrived at the studio, his steps heavy, his expression taut with exhaustion and lingering frustration. The producer was already present, leaning against a wall in the main hall, phone in hand, scanning social media feeds with a meticulous intensity that only heightened Kirk's anxiety. "We need to move quickly," the producer said without looking up, voice calm but cutting. "The rumors are multiplying by the hour. If we don't manage this, it manages you." Kirk ran a hand over his face, exhaling sharply. "I feel trapped. It's like everything I say, everything I do, is under a microscope. Fans, co-stars, social media, they're all waiting to tear me apart." The producer finally looked at him, gaze sharp and unyielding. "Control what you can, manage your image, and let me handle the narrative. Your personal life is not the story they're consuming, it's the story we control." Kirk nodded, reluctantly accepting the truth he had tried to ignore. His fate was no longer in his own hands, and the producer's calculated power extended far beyond what he had realized. Inside the studio, Mona Scott was orchestrating her own strategy. A small team of advisors and senior staff crowded into a conference room, laptops open, social media dashboards projected across screens. "This is escalating faster than anticipated," Mona said, her tone firm yet measured. "Every leak, every screenshot, every fan theory, it's converging into a perfect storm. We need a coordinated plan to manage the next 24 hours. Suggestions flew rapidly, controlled statements to the media, strategically timed interviews with co-stars, editing of upcoming episodes to subtly redirect attention, and even selective leaks to distract or redirect public scrutiny. Mona absorbed every recommendation, weighing the potential impact of each decision with the precision of a master strategist. "This is not just Kirk's problem," she reminded the room. "This affects the network, the show, and everyone involved. One misstep and everything collapses." On social media, the frenzy intensified. Hashtags like #KirkDrama, #VH1 cover-up, #Mona in the middle dominated conversations. Fans scrutinized every interaction, every episode, and every alleged leaked message, dissecting even the smallest details for hidden meaning. Some blamed Kirk entirely, labeling him as deceitful and manipulative. Others targeted the producer, accusing them of ethical breaches and calculated manipulation. The online ecosystem became a relentless court of public opinion, debating motives, credibility, and consequences, amplifying tension both inside and outside the studio. The pressure was palpable. Every post, every rumor, every fan theory influenced perceptions and shaped the unfolding drama. Tensions backstage continued to rise. Co-stars navigated the complex web of alliances and perceptions, some subtly supporting Kirk, others keeping distance, fearing association with the scandal. Crew members faced their own dilemmas, balancing professional responsibility with ethical concerns. Private conversations turned into strategic discussions, loaded with implications for loyalty, perception, and career survival. One assistant recalled a heated rehearsal where Kirk's frustration boiled over. "I can't pretend anymore. Everyone's watching, judging, and I have no control." The producer, calm and composed, countered, "Control what you can, your behavior, your reactions. The rest is outside your control." The contrast between Kirk's emotional turbulence and the producer's calculated detachment highlighted the power dynamics that had become central to the scandal. Rumors of secret meetings and private confrontations continued to circulate. Insiders claimed the producer had been coaching Kirk on appearances, speech, and demeanor, ensuring that key aspects of the story remained hidden. One alleged message read, "Trust me, the world doesn't need the full truth. Your image survives if we control perception carefully." The public response was fierce. Some fans accused the producer of manipulative behavior, while others defended the necessity of such strategies to mitigate damage. The ethical implications were undeniable, underscoring the complicated interplay between personal accountability and professional strategy in the realm of reality television. Mona, recognizing the importance of regaining control, worked tirelessly. She reviewed every message, every trend, and every leak, preparing multiple contingency plans. Insiders reported that she considered issuing a calculated statement, coordinating controlled interviews, or facilitating strategic disclosures to redirect attention. Her focus was unwavering, fully aware that every decision could affect public perception, protect careers, and shape the outcome of the unfolding scandal. The intensity of the situation tested even her well-honed strategic skills, revealing the immense pressure behind the scenes of reality TV. As the day unfolded, an anonymous video surfaced online, allegedly showing Kirk confronting the producer with intense emotion, voice strained, hands gesturing emphatically. The producer remained composed, measured, and authoritative, reinforcing perceptions of manipulation and strategic control. Fans scrutinized the footage meticulously, analyzing motives, intentions, and consequences. The clip became emblematic of the drama, highlighting the complex interplay of raw emotion, calculated strategy, and public scrutiny. As evening approached, Kirk withdrew to a private space, weighed down by anxiety and exhaustion. The producer exited quietly, projecting calm authority while remaining acutely aware of the situation's volatility. Mona, continuing her monitoring and analysis, prepared for the next phase of intervention, understanding that the scandal's trajectory was unpredictable. The stakes had escalated to include careers, reputations, and the tenuous boundary between reality and performance. Everyone involved, cast, crew, and fans, was entwined in a web of intrigue, speculation, and emotion, with further revelations and confrontations seeming inevitable. The night ended with uncertainty hanging heavily in the air. Kirk remained tense, aware that public scrutiny and internal pressures would continue unabated. The producer, confident in their strategy yet vigilant, maintained control over the narrative. Mona, navigating loyalty, responsibility, and strategy, prepared for the unfolding events, understanding that the delicate interplay between truth, perception, and manipulation was far from resolved. The drama, intricate and multifaceted, promised no relief, leaving all participants teetering on the edge of exposure, revelation, and emotional unraveling. The following morning arrived with a tense, almost suffocating stillness in the studio. Kirk entered, exhaustion etched into every line of his face, aware that the weight of scrutiny had grown heavier overnight. The producer intercepted him near the entrance, phone in hand, scrolling through an endless stream of social media updates. "We can't afford missteps today," the producer said quietly, voice controlled but sharp. "Every post, every rumor, every fan theory, it's building momentum. If we don't act, the narrative will control you." Kirk ran a hand through his hair, shoulders tense. It's like drowning. Co-stars, fans, media there, all watching me fall apart. How do I survive this? The producer's gaze was unwavering, piercing. Control what you can, your behavior, your words, and trust me to manage everything else. The story they see is the story we create. Kirk nodded, a flicker of resignation crossing his face. The realization that he had lost control to forces, both visible and hidden, settled over him like a heavy fog. Inside the studio, Mona Scott convened an emergency strategy session. Advisors and senior producers crowded around a table, laptops open, dashboards streaming trends, hashtags and alleged leaks. The situation is spiraling, Mona said, voice firm yet tinged with tension. Every leak, screenshot, and fan theory is converging into a storm. We must act decisively in the next 24 hours. Proposals flew rapidly, controlled statements to the media, carefully timed interviews with co-stars, editing upcoming episodes to subtly redirect focus, and even selective leaks to distract or shape public perception. Mona weighed each carefully, aware that one misstep could intensify the scandal beyond repair. This is not just Kirk's crisis, she reminded the room. It affects the network, the show, and every one of us. Our careers, credibility, and reputation are all on the line. The online frenzy intensified with relentless speed. Hashtags like hashtag #KirkDrama, hashtag VH1 cover-up, and hashtag Mona in the middle dominated feeds, dissecting every interaction, facial expression, and alleged private message. Fans debated motives, credibility, and ethical responsibility, splitting into factions that alternately defended Kirk, condemned him, or blamed the producer. Forums and comment sections became arenas of relentless scrutiny, amplifying tension inside the studio. Every leak, every rumor, every viral post became a pressure point, reminding everyone involved that perception had become more powerful than fact. Backstage, tension was almost tangible. Co-stars moved with caution, some subtly supporting Kirk, others keeping distance, wary of association. Crew members faced ethical dilemmas, balancing professional obligations with perception and loyalty. Whispered conversations carried subtext. Gestures were interpreted as statements of allegiance, and even routine interactions became loaded with consequence. One assistant recounted a heated rehearsal where Kirk's frustration exploded. "I can't pretend anymore. Everyone's watching, judging, and I have no control." The producer, unflinching, responded, "Control what you can, your behavior and your reactions. The rest is outside your control." The contrast between Kirk's raw emotional turmoil and the producer's calculated detachment illuminated the power dynamics at play. Rumors of clandestine meetings and private confrontations continued to spread. Insiders claimed the producer had meticulously coached Kirk on public appearances, speech, and gestures to prevent exposure of sensitive details. One alleged message read, "Trust me, the public doesn't need the full truth. Your image survives if perception is carefully managed." Fans erupted online. Some accused the producer of manipulation, others defended the strategy as necessary damage control. The ethical ambiguity of these actions underscored the tension between personal accountability and professional strategy in the high-stakes reality television world. Mona, acutely aware of the need to regain narrative control, worked tirelessly. She reviewed leaked messages, monitored trends, and mapped potential scenarios, preparing multiple contingency plans. Insiders suggested she considered issuing carefully worded statements, coordinating selective interviews, or facilitating controlled disclosures to redirect attention. Her focus was absolute, knowing that every decision could influence public perception, protect careers, and shape the outcome of the unfolding scandal. The situation tested her strategic skills like never before, revealing the immense pressures behind reality TV production. Later in the day, an anonymous video surfaced, allegedly, showing Kirk confronting the producer with raw intensity, voice strained, hands moving emphatically. The producer remained calm, measured, and authoritative, reinforcing perceptions of strategic manipulation. Fans scrutinized the footage endlessly, analyzing motives, intentions, and possible consequences. The clip became emblematic of the crisis, a snapshot of the interplay between vulnerability, calculated strategy, and public scrutiny. As night descended, Kirk retreated to a private space, overwhelmed by anxiety and exhaustion. The producer left quietly, projecting authority while fully aware of the volatile circumstances. Mona continued monitoring and analyzing, preparing for the next phase, fully conscious that the scandal's trajectory remained unpredictable. Stakes had escalated beyond individual reputations to careers, network credibility, and the delicate boundary between reality and narrative construction. Everyone involved, cast, crew, and fans alike, was caught in a tangled web of speculation, tension, and emotion, with further revelations and confrontations inevitable. The day concluded with uncertainty hanging over the studio like a dense cloud. Kirk remained tense, aware that scrutiny would continue unabated. The producer, confident yet vigilant, maintained narrative control. Mona, balancing loyalty, responsibility, and strategy, prepared for unfolding events. Fully aware that the interplay of truth, perception, and manipulation was far from resolved, the drama, layered and intricate, promised no respite, leaving all participants teetering on the edge of exposure, revelation, and emotional unraveling. The following morning, the studio was thick with tension, an almost palpable weight pressing on everyone inside. Kirk entered quietly, his expression drawn and weary, carrying the emotional residue of the previous day's turmoil. The producer met him near the main hall, phone in hand, eyes scanning an endless stream of social media updates. "Today is critical," the producer said, voice steady but sharp. "Every rumor, every post, every fan theory, it's multiplying. If we don't manage it, it manages you." Kirk ran a hand over his face, exhaling slowly. "I feel trapped. The fans, the co-stars, the media, they're all watching, judging, waiting for me to slip. How do I survive this?" The producer's eyes bore into him, unflinching. "Control what you can, your words, your behavior on, trust me to handle the rest. Perception is everything. The story they see is the story we shape." Kirk nodded, tension and reluctant acceptance flickering across his features. The reality of his vulnerability was undeniable. The producer's influence now defined the path forward. Backstage, Mona Scott gathered her inner circle once again. Laptops open, dashboards displaying trending hashtags, alleged leaks, and fan commentary filled the room. "This is escalating faster than we anticipated," Mona said, her tone firm but edged with stress. "Every leak, every rumor, every fan theory, it's converging into a storm. We need a plan for the next 24 hours. Suggestions flew, preemptive statements, carefully timed interviews, editing upcoming episodes to redirect attention, and strategic leaks to shape narrative perception. Mona weighed each recommendation, measuring risks and potential fallout. "This isn't just Kirk's crisis," she reminded the team. "It's ours. Our careers, the show, and the network are all at stake. One misstep, and the entire operation collapses." Social media continued to amplify the drama. Hashtags like #KirkScandal, #VH1 cover-up, and #Mona in the middle dominated feeds, dissecting every interaction, every episode, every alleged private message. Fans debated motives, ethics, and credibility, splitting into factions, defending Kirk, condemning him, or targeting the producer. Online forums became arenas of constant scrutiny, amplifying internal tension within the studio. Every post, comment, and video became another layer of pressure, a reminder that perception often outweighed reality in the court of public opinion. Tensions backstage reached new heights. Co-stars navigated a minefield of social and professional allegiances, some subtly supporting Kirk, others maintaining distance to avoid controversy. Crew members wrestled with ethical dilemmas, balancing professionalism with personal judgment. Whispered conversations carried layered meanings. Gestures were interpreted as statements of loyalty, and even mundane interactions were loaded with consequence. One assistant recounted a particularly explosive rehearsal, where Kirk's frustration boiled over. "I can't pretend anymore. Everyone's watching, judging, and I have no control." The producer remained composed, voice measured. "Control what you can, your actions, your words. The rest is not yours to manage." The contrast between Kirk's emotional vulnerability and the producer's calculated control highlighted the intricate power dynamics at play. Rumors of secret confrontations and clandestine meetings continued to circulate. Insiders claimed the producer had meticulously coached Kirk on public behavior, speech, and gestures, ensuring that key aspects of the story remained hidden. One alleged text read, "Trust me, the public doesn't need the full truth. Your image survives if perception is managed carefully." Reactions online were immediate and polarized. Some accused the producer of manipulation and ethical compromise, while others argued the strategy was necessary to contain damage. The tension between accountability and strategy underscored the complexity of reality television, where personal lives and public narrative intersect dangerously. Mona worked tirelessly to regain control. She reviewed every message, monitored trends, and mapped multiple potential scenarios, preparing contingency plans. Insiders suggested she considered issuing a carefully worded public statement, coordinating selective interviews, or facilitating controlled disclosures to redirect attention. Her focus remained absolute, understanding that each choice could influence public perception, protect careers, and shape the outcome of the scandal. The intensity of the situation tested her strategic abilities like never before, revealing the immense pressures behind the scenes. Later in the day, another anonymous video surfaced online, allegedly, showing Kirk confronting the producer with raw, unfiltered emotion, voice cracking, hands gesturing with intensity. The producer remained calm, authoritative, and unyielding, reinforcing perceptions of manipulation and control. Fans analyzed the footage exhaustively, speculating about motives, intentions, and potential fallout. The clip became emblematic of the crisis, a stark portrayal of the tension between vulnerability, strategy, and public scrutiny. As night approached, Kirk withdrew to a private space, overwhelmed by anxiety and the relentless pressure of scrutiny. The producer left quietly, projecting calm authority while fully aware of the situation's volatility. Mona continued her vigilant monitoring, preparing for the next phase. Recognizing that the scandal's trajectory remained unpredictable, stakes had escalated beyond individual reputations to include careers, network credibility, and the delicate interplay between reality and narrative construction. Everyone involved, cast, crew, and fans, was caught in a tangled web of tension, speculation, and emotion, with further revelations and confrontations inevitable. The day ended with uncertainty hanging heavily over the studio. Kirk remained tense, aware that scrutiny would continue unabated. The producer, confident yet vigilant, maintained narrative control. Mona, balancing loyalty, responsibility, and strategy, prepared for unfolding events, fully conscious that the delicate interplay of truth, perception, and manipulation was far from resolved. The drama, complex and multifaceted, promised no relief, leaving all participants teetering on the edge of exposure, revelation, and emotional unraveling. The next morning, the studio felt heavier than ever, a quiet that betrayed the undercurrent of tension sweeping through the cast and crew. Kirk arrived first, steps measured, eyes scanning the room like a man trapped in a storm he couldn't control. The producer intercepted him almost immediately, phone in hand, scrolling through the overnight deluge of social media posts, messages, and hashtags. "Today is critical," the producer said, voice calm but edged with urgency. "Every rumor, every post, every theory, it's building momentum. If we don't manage this, it manages you." Kirk rubbed his temples, frustration and fatigue etched into his features. "I'm suffocating. Fans, co-stars, the media, they're all waiting for me to fall apart. How do I survive this?" The producer's gaze was unyielding, precise. "Control what you can, your behavior, your words. Everything else is mine. Perception is reality. The story they see is the story we construct." Kirk nodded, a flicker of resignation crossing his face, realizing he had ceded control entirely to the producer's meticulous orchestration. Backstage, Mona Scott convened an urgent strategy session with her inner circle, laptops open, dashboards, streaming trending hashtags, fan commentary, and alleged leaks. The room buzzed with calculated urgency. "The situation has reached a critical point," Mona said, voice steady but tight. "Every leak, screenshot, and theory is converging into a storm. We must act decisively in the next 24 hours. Suggestions came fast: preemptive public statements, carefully timed interviews with co-stars, editing upcoming episodes to redirect attention, and strategic leaks to manipulate narrative perception. Mona weighed each option with painstaking attention, knowing that one misstep could ignite a media wildfire. "This isn't just Kirk's crisis," she reminded the team. "It's ours. Our careers, the network, the show, everything hangs in the balance. One wrong move, and it all collapses." Online, the storm raged. Hashtags like #KirkDrama, #VH1 cover-up, #Mona in the middle dominated conversations, dissecting every interaction, facial expression, and alleged private message. Fans debated ethics, motives, and accountability, splitting into camps that defended Kirk, condemned him, or attacked the producer. Forums became battlefields, fueling tension inside the studio. Every leak, every viral post, every rumor became another layer of pressure, a constant reminder that perception had overtaken reality in the court of public opinion. Backstage, tension spiked further. Co-stars navigated delicate social and professional lines, some subtly supporting Kirk, others keeping distance to avoid entanglement. Crew members struggled with ethical dilemmas, balancing professionalism with personal integrity. Whispered conversations carried subtext, gestures became statements of loyalty, and mundane interactions were loaded with consequence. One assistant recalled a particularly explosive rehearsal, where Kirk's frustration erupted. "I can't pretend anymore. Everyone's watching, judging, and I have no control." The producer.com and countered, "Control what you can, your behavior, your words. The rest is beyond you." The contrast between Kirk's raw vulnerability and the producer's calculated detachment highlighted the intricate power dynamics at play. Rumors of clandestine confrontations and secret meetings continued to circulate. Insiders claimed the producer had coached Kirk meticulously on public behavior, speech, and gestures, ensuring that sensitive details remained concealed. One alleged message read, "Trust me, the public doesn't need the full truth. Your image survives if perception is managed carefully." Reactions online were immediate and polarized. Some accused the producer of manipulation, while others defended the necessity of such strategy to mitigate damage. The tension between accountability and strategic maneuvering underscored the high-stakes reality of television production, where personal lives intersect with public spectacle. Mona worked relentlessly, reviewing messages, monitoring trends, and mapping out multiple scenarios, preparing contingency plans for every possible outcome. Insiders suggested she considered issuing a carefully worded statement, orchestrating selective interviews, or facilitating controlled disclosures to redirect public attention. Her focus was absolute, understanding that every decision had the power to shape public perception, protect careers, and determine the scandal's trajectory. The intensity of the situation tested her strategic acumen, revealing the immense pressures that drove the reality TV machine. Later in the day, another anonymous video emerged, ALLEGEDLY, showing Kirk confronting the producer with raw emotion, voice strained, hands gesturing with intensity. The producer remained composed, authoritative, and unwavering, reinforcing the perception of meticulous manipulation. Fans dissected the footage with fervor, analyzing motives, intentions, and potential fallout. The clip became a defining image of the scandal, a vivid illustration of the tension between vulnerability, calculated control, and relentless public scrutiny. As night fell, Kirk withdrew to a private space, weighed down by anxiety, exhaustion, and scrutiny. The producer exited quietly, projecting calm authority while remaining vigilant to every ripple of consequence. Mona, ever watchful, continued her monitoring, preparing for the next phase. Fully aware that the scandal's trajectory was unpredictable, stakes had escalated to encompass careers, reputations, and the fragile boundary between reality and constructed narrative. All participants, cast, crew, and fans were caught in a complex web of speculation, tension, and emotion, with further revelations and confrontations inevitable. The day ended in uneasy silence. Kirk remained tense, fully aware that scrutiny and pressure would not relent. The producer, confident yet vigilant, maintained narrative control. Mona, balancing loyalty, strategy, and responsibility, prepared for the next developments, fully conscious that the interplay of truth, perception, and manipulation was far from resolved. The drama, intricate and multifaceted, promised no respite, leaving everyone teetering on the edge of exposure, revelation, and emotional unraveling. The next morning, tension gripped the studio like a living entity, wrapping around every hallway, every corner, every conversation. Kirk arrived early, shoulders heavy, eyes shadowed with fatigue, knowing the scrutiny of the previous days had not abated. The producer intercepted him almost immediately, phone in hand, scrolling through the overnight deluge of fan theories, screenshots, and social media posts. "Today is pivotal," the producer said, voice calm yet sharp, slicing through the thick air. "Every rumor, every post, every theory is gaining traction. If we don't control it, it will control you." Kirk ran a hand through his hair, letting out a long, tired sigh. "I feel trapped. Fans, co-stars, the media, they're all waiting to see me crumble. How do I survive this?" The producer's eyes locked on his, unwavering, precise. "You survive by controlling what you can, your words, your actions. Leave the narrative to me. Perception is everything. The story they see is the story we craft." Kirk nodded, a reluctant acknowledgement that his fate was no longer entirely his own. The producer's calculated authority now dominated every unfolding moment. Backstage, Mona Scott convened an urgent strategy session. Advisors, producers, and social media analysts gathered around, laptops open, dashboards displaying trending hashtags, leaked messages, and fan commentary. "The situation has escalated beyond what we anticipated," Mona said, voice firm but tinged with stress. "Every leak, screenshot, and theory is merging into a storm. We must act decisively in the next 24 hours. Ideas flew fast, preemptive statements to the press, carefully timed interviews with co-stars, editing upcoming episodes to redirect attention, and selective leaks to manipulate perception. Mona weighed each option meticulously, fully aware that one misstep could ignite a scandal of unprecedented magnitude. "This is not just Kirk's crisis," she reminded the team. "It's ours. The network, the show, our careers all are at stake. One wrong move, and everything collapses." Online, the storm intensified. Hashtags like #KirkDrama, #VH1 cover-up, and #Mona in the middle flooded feeds, dissecting every interaction, facial expression, and alleged private message. Fans debated motives, ethics, and accountability, splitting into camps that alternately defended Kirk, condemned him, or targeted the producer. Forums became battlefields for relentless analysis and speculation, amplifying tension inside the studio. Every leak, every viral post, every rumor became another pressure point, reminding everyone that perception now outweighed reality in shaping public opinion. Backstage tension escalated further. Co-stars navigated a precarious landscape of social and professional alliances, some subtly supporting Kirk, others keeping distance to avoid entanglement. Crew members wrestled with ethical dilemmas, balancing professionalism with personal judgment. Whispered conversations carried layers of meaning. Gestures became statements of loyalty, and even mundane interactions were loaded with consequence. One assistant recounted a particularly explosive rehearsal, where Kirk's frustration erupted. "I can't pretend anymore. Everyone's watching, judging, and I have no control." The producer, calm and precise, countered, "Control what you can, your behavior, your words. The rest is not yours to manage." The contrast between Kirk's raw emotional vulnerability and the producer's strategic detachment highlighted the power dynamics at play. Rumors of clandestine confrontations and secret meetings continued to swirl. Insiders claimed the producer had coached Kirk extensively on public demeanor, speech, and gestures, ensuring that sensitive details remained hidden. One alleged message read, "Trust me, the public doesn't need the full truth. Your image survives if perception is carefully managed." Online reactions were instantaneous and polarized. Some accused the producer of manipulation and moral compromise, while others defended the strategy as necessary damage control. The tension between accountability and strategy underscored the complexities of reality television, where personal lives collide with public spectacle. Mona worked relentlessly, reviewing leaked messages, monitoring trends, and mapping multiple scenarios, preparing contingency plans for every potential outcome. Insiders suggested she considered issuing a carefully worded statement, orchestrating selective interviews, or facilitating controlled disclosures to redirect attention. Her focus was absolute, knowing that each decision could influence public perception, protect careers, and shape the trajectory of the scandal. The intensity of the situation tested her strategic abilities like never before, exposing the immense pressures that fuel reality TV production. Later in the day, another anonymous video surfaced online, ALLEGEDLY, showing Kirk confronting the producer with raw, unfiltered emotion, voice strained, hands gesturing emphatically. The producer remained composed, authoritative, and unyielding, reinforcing the perception of meticulous manipulation. Fans dissected the footage endlessly, speculating about motives, intentions, and consequences. The clip became emblematic of the unfolding crisis, a vivid illustration of the tension between vulnerability, calculated control, and relentless public scrutiny. As night fell, Kirk retreated to a private space, weighed down by anxiety, exhaustion, and unrelenting scrutiny. The producer left quietly, projecting calm authority, while remaining acutely aware of the situation's volatility. Mona, ever vigilant, continued monitoring, preparing for the next phase, fully aware that the scandal's trajectory remained unpredictable. Stakes had escalated beyond individual reputations, encompassing careers, network credibility, and the fragile boundary between reality and constructed narrative. All participants, cast, crew, and fans were caught in a tangled web of speculation, tension, and emotion, with further revelations and confrontations inevitable. The day concluded in uneasy silence. Kirk remained tense, fully conscious that scrutiny and pressure would continue unabated. The producer, confident yet vigilant, maintained narrative control. Mona, balancing loyalty, strategy, and responsibility, prepared for the next developments, fully aware that the delicate interplay of truth, perception, and manipulation was far from resolved. The drama, complex and multifaceted, promised no respite, leaving everyone teetering on the edge of exposure, revelation, and emotional unraveling. The morning broke with a heavy, almost suffocating tension in the studio. Kirk arrived, exhaustion shadowing his eyes, his body tense with the weight of scrutiny that had only intensified over the past week. The producer intercepted him near the main entrance, phone in hand, scrolling through an endless stream of social media updates, fan theories, and alleged leaks. "Today is decisive," the producer said, voice calm yet razor-sharp. "Every post, every rumor, every viral clip, it's gaining momentum. If we don't control it, it controls you." Kirk ran a hand over his face, shoulders slumping under the pressure. "I feel like I'm drowning. Fans, co-stars, the media, they're all watching, waiting for me to slip. How do I survive this?" The producer's gaze was unwavering. "Control what you can, your words, your reactions. Leave the rest to me. Perception is reality. The story they see is the story we construct." Kirk nodded, a flicker of resignation crossing his face. He realized he had ceded almost complete control to the producer's calculated strategy. The boundaries between his personal reality and the public narrative dissolving under the relentless gaze of scrutiny. Backstage, Mona Scott convened another emergency session with her closest advisors. Laptops open, dashboards filled with trending hashtags, alleged leaks, and fan commentary. The room buzzed with calculated urgency. "The situation has escalated beyond what we anticipated," Mona said, voice steady but tinged with tension. "Every leak, every screenshot, every theory is converging into a perfect storm. We need a decisive plan for the next 24 hours. Ideas flew rapidly, preemptive statements, strategically timed interviews, editing upcoming episodes to redirect attention, and selective leaks to manipulate perception. Mona absorbed each suggestion, weighing consequences with meticulous precision, fully aware that one misstep could spark a media wildfire. "This isn't just Kirk's crisis," she reminded the room. "It's ours. The network, the show, our careers, they're all on the line. One wrong move, and everything collapses." Social media continued to amplify the drama. Hashtags like #KirkDrama, #VH1 cover-up, #Mona in the middle dominated feeds, dissecting every interaction, facial expression, and alleged private message. Fans debated motives, ethics, and accountability, splitting into factions that defended Kirk, condemned him, or targeted the producer. Online forums became arenas for relentless analysis, fueling tension within the studio. Every leak, every viral post, every rumor became another layer of pressure, a reminder that perception had overtaken reality in shaping public opinion. Backstage tensions escalated further. Co-stars navigated a precarious web of social and professional alliances, some subtly supporting Kirk, others maintaining distance to avoid controversy. Crew members wrestled with ethical dilemmas, balancing professional obligations with personal judgment. Whispered conversations carried subtext, gestures became statements of loyalty, and even mundane interactions were laden with consequence. One assistant recounted a particularly explosive rehearsal where Kirk's frustration boiled over. "I can't pretend anymore. Everyone's watching, judging, and I have no control." The producer, calm and composed, countered, "Control what you can, your behavior, your words. The rest is outside your power." The contrast between Kirk's raw vulnerability and the producer's strategic detachment underscored the complex power dynamics at play. Rumors of clandestine meetings and secret confrontations continued to circulate. Insiders claimed the producer had coached Kirk meticulously on public behavior, speech, and gestures, ensuring that sensitive details remained hidden. One alleged message read, "Trust me, the public doesn't need the full truth. Your image survives if perception is carefully managed." Online reactions were immediate and polarized. Some accused the producer of manipulation and moral compromise, while others defended the strategy as necessary for damage control. The tension between accountability and strategy highlighted the precarious intersection of personal lives and public spectacle in reality television. Mona worked relentlessly, reviewing messages, monitoring trends, and mapping out multiple potential scenarios. She prepared contingency plans for every possible outcome. Insiders suggested she considered issuing a carefully worded public statement, orchestrating selective interviews, or facilitating controlled disclosures to redirect attention. Her focus remained absolute, knowing that each decision could shape public perception, protect careers, and determine the trajectory of the scandal. The intensity of the situation tested her strategic acumen like never before, revealing the immense pressures behind reality TV production. Later in the day, an anonymous video appeared online, ALLEGEDLY, showing Kirk confronting the producer with raw emotion, voice cracking, hands moving with intensity. The producer remained calm, authoritative, and unflinching, reinforcing perceptions of meticulous control and strategic manipulation. Fans analyzed the footage endlessly, speculating about motives, intentions, and potential consequences. The clip became emblematic of the unfolding scandal, a vivid portrayal of the tension between vulnerability, calculated strategy, and relentless public scrutiny. As night fell, Kirk retreated to a private space, overwhelmed by anxiety, exhaustion, and unrelenting scrutiny. The producer left quietly, projecting calm authority while remaining acutely aware of the situation's volatility. Mona, ever vigilant, continued monitoring, preparing for the next phase, fully aware that the scandal's trajectory remained unpredictable. Stakes had escalated beyond individual reputations, encompassing careers, network credibility, and the fragile boundary between reality and narrative construction. All participants, cast, crew, and fans were caught in a tangled web of speculation, tension, and emotion, with further revelations and confrontations inevitable. The day concluded with uneasy silence. Kirk remained tense, fully aware that scrutiny and pressure would continue unabated. The producer, confident yet vigilant, maintained narrative control. Mona, balancing loyalty, strategy, and responsibility, prepared for the next developments, fully conscious that the delicate interplay of truth, perception, and manipulation was far from resolved. The drama, complex and multifaceted, promised no respite, leaving all participants teetering on the edge of exposure, revelation, and emotional unraveling. So here we are, right at the heart of one of the most explosive scandals in reality TV history. And the drama isn't slowing down. Kirk, Mona, the producer, everyone is walking a tightrope between public perception and private truth. And fans are watching every move like hawks. The question now is, what happens next? Will Kirk reclaim control of his narrative, or will the meticulously crafted strategies of the producer continue to dominate the story? Mona Scott sits at the center of it all, balancing loyalty, strategy, and the relentless pressure of managing a crisis that could define careers and reshape the show forever. Fans are shocked, emotions ran high, and the family of co-stars is left divided. Every leak, every rumor, every snippet of drama has built a web so tangled that even the most seasoned insiders struggle to predict the outcome. Now it's over to you. What do you think about the producer's role in all of this? Was it manipulation, strategy, or a little bit of both? How much responsibility does Kirk bear for the events that have unfolded? And how much control does Mona actually have behind the scenes? Your opinions, theories, and reactions are part of the conversation, and they matter just as much as the drama itself. Drop your thoughts in the comments below, because we want to hear your side. Every shock, every revelation, every prediction. If you've been following the scandal unfold, make sure you hit that like button to show your support for staying up to date with the juiciest moments in reality TV. Subscribe to the channel so you never miss an update, a leaked clip, or a behind-the-scenes revelation that could change everything. Turn on notifications to be the first to know when the next explosive development drops. And don't forget, your voice matters. Comment, share, and be part of the conversation, because this story is far from over. And the next chapter could shock everyone even more than what you've already seen. Stay tuned, stay involved, and keep watching, because the drama is just getting started.